Welcome to the Digital Marketing, the new Super Skill Set webinar. It's great to see some new faces and some familiar faces. Thank you very much for joining me. Today, we want to discuss the big changes in, marketing industry and how that potentially may affect all of you. So to start, a little bit about us, of course. It's worthwhile, obviously, mentioning that we are a training provider and we look after a variety of different courses. GBS specializes in digital marketing, IT, management, team leading, business admin, and a variety of other courses, starting from short to long term to apprenticeship and other upskilling elements. So we do come from the learning teaching background, so you are in good hands today. And of course, just a little bit about myself. I am a digital marketing program lead at GBS Apprenticeship, and the reason why I'm speaking with you today is because I do come from the marketing industry. I still practice, and there's an awful lot of experience that comes with that. I have worked with a variety of different people, started the journey of marketing way back in 2007, and it's just kind of escalated eventually into teaching back in 2017, and gave me an opportunity to really work with a variety of different businesses and share some of those good practices along the way. Okay, so first of all, for those of you who've not had much of experience of digital marketing, in essence, digital marketing is marketing online. So it's anything we do to promote brands and to connect them to potential customers on the internet through the digital platform. It's worthwhile mentioning that it does also include text and multimedia channels, but today we will mainly focus on the online content, just because that really had the biggest change and that impacted the industry. So why are we talking about the super skill set? Obviously, all of us have experienced massive changes in the way we live, work, and exist really since the pandemic. Pandemic has put us upside down in some respect, and it pushed us towards what's already started happening a while ago, something that we refer in the business world to as digital transformation. So digital transformation was a process that aimed to transform all the businesses worldwide and make them more digital. And that transformation was happening quite, in a steady pace. Many businesses recognize that they need to be more digital, and the presence online has to be more prominent. But then suddenly the world got, tipped upside down. We were all in lockdown. There were no physical premises open, apart from the essential premises. There were obviously absolute no communication with outside world unless it was done via digital. So at that point, businesses had to make a decision. They either speed up that digital transformation and become digital, or they are unfortunately left and tossed aside. And it was very difficult transformation for some, where some businesses were actually a lot more ready for it, where others didn't have that level of readiness, so they had to be more creative. However, we all recognize the need for marketing online. And as the need for marketing online grew and became super apparent, the digital marketing skills became super important. And that's where we're now starting to see a major shift towards the digital marketing skills first approach. And a lot of, majority of businesses out there will prioritize digital marketing over any other marketing method, which makes us digital marketing specialists quite unique and very high in demand indeed. And that demand really will only grow because eventually digital marketing will become just marketing, and everything else that will happen along the way will be a nice add-on to have. That's not to say that, other marketing methods will disappear. We can't really say that for sure, but even some of the traditional marketing methods like print, for example, marketing is now pretty much becoming very digital. And there are some magazines, for example, that completely stopped printing the physical copies and moved to online space completely. So it is happening. Whether that's going to really completely transform into the digital world, or we're still going to see tendencies of mixed marketing, in reality, integrated approach, that time will show. However, there's one thing that nobody can deny at this point: the importance of digital marketing becomes significant in any business success going forward. So there are a few types of marketing that will really stand out in the next year, this year and next year, and potentially, to be honest, going forward as well. So it's worthwhile starting that journey with the content marketing. So content marketing is one of the marketing formats that really practices the content creation for the purpose of building the reputation and the brand visibility online. So why content marketing? Well, a lot of us becoming immune to advertising. Audiences are smart. They know what they want. People are also very time hungry now. So they no longer have time to just sit there and, absorb what we give them, because there's so much happening online all the time. It's a lot more saturated. So people are more likely to turn to content that is within their interest remit or is needed. So content marketing, therefore, became really key in building that relationship with customer. We know that the brand can't exist without the relationship that we build with the audiences online. So content became really good passage for that relationship to start developing. And really, that content marketing strategy can be deployed across the board. So you can use it for your website, you can use it on your social media channels, you can use it in a variety of ways. But what it will do, essentially, it will showcase your speciality, your professionalism, your leadership, your people approach. It will show you that you care about your audiences. It will show you that, it will help you achieve that connection with your audiences. One major benefit of content marketing going into, next year or so will be the SEO. So search engine optimization, the way, it works, it will, display the pages to the audiences that they've searched based on the specific relevance of the content. Now, when we have a problem as audiences, where we have a question, where we need a solution, we now turn to Google as second nature, really. We do the search straight away online before we even go and ask our friends and family and, so on and so on. That has actually amplified through the lockdown. And Google has reported that their searches per day surged in terms of the usability. So content marketing will be your window into, introduction of your business, introduction of your services, introduction of your products. It will really allow you to deliver that ultimate brand experience to your potential and existing leads. It will, allow you to form that bond. And you can see there are some, serious figures to back up some of the, elements of success within content marketing. It can be really tricky, though. It's really not that simple. It's not just about putting an article together on some of the, topics that you're passionate about or know about, and just putting it out there and, expecting for it to bring you majorly, vast traffic to your content. You have to make sure, first of all, that you are super creative. You've got to remember, there are hundreds of thousands of new websites made live every minute worldwide. The online is extremely saturated space, because you're no longer just competing with Joe next door that has, a shop nearby. You are competing on a global scale. If you to enter, for example, digital marketing apprenticeship into Google search, you will actually have hundreds and hundreds of results to go through. So how do you ensure that you feature first in the list of those hundreds and hundreds of results? That's going to be your biggest challenge for the next year, or to be honest, for the next few years, for sure, whilst we're still prioritizing the written content in the search facilities. Make sure that you are super relevant. That's probably the first and most important step that you need to make when you're producing your content marketing strategy. You've got to ensure that you research your topic, you understand what's already out there, because let's face it, if we produce something that already exists, we're already losing that game, because those people who's already posted similar content will have an upper hand because they were there first. Why would someone read your content if your content pretty much repeating what someone else already said? They won't. So you've got to be very, very careful, and you've got to vet what you about to post, because or produce or release, because you've got to be unique to certain sort of extent at least. And you need to have a really valid point. You also need to make sure that what you serve is as creative as can be. It needs to be easily digested. It needs to be interesting. And often people would also expect the content to be fun. in the way it's delivered, in the way it's read, and so on and so on. So actually, in order to establish that strong connection through the pipeline, you've got to make that work. And in order to make that work, you will need to have significant level of preparation in place. So having the content marketing strategy is imperative, because you will not be able to produce high quality content without planning for it, without researching it, and without analyzing things that are already there. Now, there are plenty of tools that you can use for that. Don't be afraid to involve technology. The technology is actually developing significantly, and in recent years we see more and more of that. So use what's out there. Stay on top of the advice in terms of what's coming next, what do people want, and make sure that whatever you put out there is carefully planned, because if you don't, it most likely will be lost in the vast majority of content that's already out there. Now, content and SEO really go side by side, alongside each other. And to be honest, SEO, search engine optimization techniques, they always will be there, and they always will be in high demand. Now, everybody wants to be first when the search happens. You want to make sure that your website comes up higher than your competitors. There are plenty of really courses and advice out there in terms of how to achieve that. The difference is that it constantly changes. So when we talk about, the future SEO strategies, Google has recently changed the way it serves content to its customers again. So what they saying now is that the priority will go to those that are niche in their expertise. So it's no longer a game of sticking as much into your website as possible and hoping that something will be read out there. It's really about focusing your attention on potentially specific topics throughout your website. So those websites that had vast range of content but really watered down, we will see them losing in their rankings to those websites that are focused on the specific potential topic. So how you will adjust to that strategy will depend on your business and your business needs, and don't always chase the latest trend, the latest fashion. In the end of the day, if you have something that's worthwhile visiting, your customers, your leads will come regardless, and Google won't treat you too harshly. But those that tend to just put an awful lot of different, topics on the blogs and so on, you've got to make sure that you try and stay focused in the area of your expertise, in the area of your practice, and follow what your business does, rather than try to identify trends and then bring that to your website in order to drive extra traffic. So SEO skills, definitely a must. It will always be a must, regardless of the time and day. It's just what would have to be adjusted on a regular basis in order to fit the latest requirements of the search engines. One very sneaky marketing technique that's re-emerging, and it was once said that email marketing is dead. We see that now it really is an opposite, maybe because of the pandemic, maybe because of the way we are more environmentally aware now. We don't want to have paper delivered to us. We want everything digital because it does help the environment. So it could be a number of reasons why email marketing coming back very strong. Regardless of the reasons, going forward next year and this year, the rest of this year, if you don't have email marketing in your strategy, I definitely recommend including that in your strategy. And if you are looking to enter the world of digital marketing as a specialist, that will be definitely a skill set that you will need. Email marketing is simple. You promote product, service, brand, specific topic through the digital mass emailing software. However, in order to succeed, again, you've got to make sure that there are certain triggers in place and people actually would want to open, read, and act on your emails. So, big thing for me is the length of emails. Get rid of the long unnecessary emails that cover 50 different topics that happened in your business over the last month or so. Focus on more shorter and snappier emails. If you do want to do the variety of different activities, send them to your website. Get them to come on your website and spend some time on your website reading those topics, reading those articles. They will do good there on your website. The reading of the articles and engagement with your blogs will help your SEO. If people have to scroll and scroll through the email, usually what will happen is that they're going to close it because we are still impatient. We like emails, we don't like them long. So when you do the marketing, you've got to remember that you're serving your user and your user experience has to come first, regardless of what channel or method you're using. Emails have to have clear subject line and it has to be compelling. Imagine your own inbox. Why would you open something that sounds boring or clinical? You wouldn't. Try not to go for the, spammy things like, we made a mistake, sorry, this is something for you here. Oh, I really feel like that sounds desperate. You want to make sure that what you put out there is compelling. People want to go and follow your email. They want to read and understand, what is this all about? What's going on here? Because that's when they will start warming up towards your content, towards your brand, towards other things that you do. And that's where you're going to start building that relationship that we talked about earlier in the content marketing element. It really has to be something that would work for your user. Don't try to cheat and cut corners. It really doesn't help in the long run. You might get them to open an email, but actually you would want them to open it because they want to read it rather than because you're conning them into the, cheap, tacky subject line. Make sure that you give your user a very clear call to action. What is it that you want them to do? Is it an offer? Is it the new service that you want to introduce and get them to sign up to? Is it a clearance? Whatever it is it the specific blog article that you want them to go and read? Do you want them to sign up to an event? What is it that you want? You want to make sure that whatever it is very clear in the email in order for them to actually take the action. Otherwise, people will go through your content and they're going to go, that's nice, and they will close it. Don't just expect them to naturally go and follow the next steps. You probably find that your click-through rate and retention rate might end up being a lot lower than you hoped for if you don't give them the clear call to action. Automate it if you can. Make sure that you have the flows in place if it's a possibility, if your software will allow you to do that. If you're fortunate to work for a good company, they will invest into marketing and will allow you to complete some of those automation elements. They will help, absolutely. There is evidence out there already that suggests if you use flows, if you use the technology, you will get better result because you can customize it a lot better. The idea of the flow is that it does create a series of emails that will be triggered depending on the response that the customer gives you to the initial email. So let's say someone's opened an email but didn't click on the call to action. You can then automate it to send the email to this customer that will encourage them again to actually follow through with a click, where if someone hasn't actually opened an email in the first place, the automation will send them the reminder to say that this is actually what's happening, come and have a look at the email. So it gives you an opportunity to segment further down the line and in terms of the content that you're putting out there based on the response that your user is having and how they engaging with your content online. So definitely worthwhile doing. Another good tip for next year is start testing. Start testing. The numbers will tell you so much. Pretty much 90% of software out there now will allow you to do the A/B testing, split testing as the standard. So it's no longer an exclusive feature that you might be able to get if you're really lucky and you have a very professional software. It's very much a standard feature now. So if you do have significant size list or reasonable size list, you really should start testing, because that is what will help you supercharge your email marketing going into next year. It's one thing that we expect certain things to happen, and especially if you have a level of expertise in the field, you might be able to sort of gauge what's going to happen with the specific list, but actually numbers can't lie. So if you test, you will have that reassurance behind what you do. So definitely test going forward. It will change your life. It will change the results that you're getting. It will make your marketing a lot more effective and on point. Moving on, I can't leave this guys out, although we did have a bit of a scare just the other day where Facebook decided to just go under and take down Instagram and WhatsApp with it. I think for about good 6 hours, everyone was kind of slightly panicking in terms of what's going to happen next. What am I going to do? Especially if you heavily rely on social media for your marketing. And some people actually referred to Twitter as sort of cheat social media, because they actually went on Twitter to try and connect with some of their friends and actually to connect with Facebook. How ironic was that? But Facebook is back. It's not going anywhere just yet. So one thing that really became clear through pandemic, and it just carries out with the trend, is that customer service, lead generation, brand promotion, and anything in between really is happening on social media these days. Every single business that wants to make it in the digital world have to be on social media. period. Now, what social channels you will work with, that would really depend on your industry and the type of business that you have. There are obviously some well-established social media channels like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and a few others, TikTok, to name the few. These are your big giants with hundreds of thousands, millions, and in Facebook case, almost 2.3 billion active users. So these are like obviously well-known, well-established, with high customer acquisition and presence formats. But you also have some of the smaller ones, and obviously you've got to go where your audiences are. There is one that I've recently sort of heard about, is something like neighborhood something, and it's actually the social network for an older generation, and it does have an awful lot of aging population on there, which was very interesting to actually discover, where we traditionally think that actually older population doesn't tend to turn to internet. We're now discovering that that isn't actually true at all. Our grandparents are at times more savvy than some of our children when it comes to internet, because they had now time to learn, and there's been an awful lot happening through the government initiatives, through the some business initiatives that actually helped that potential audience get online and be present and be effective online. So don't just assume that that generation is a write-off. Absolutely not the case. So definitely worthwhile considering that going into next year for your social media strategy, if that's the audience that you would naturally target but didn't target last year because of whatever reasons. So social media has evolved. Places like Facebook actually try to keep you on Facebook throughout all of your journey. You can even do your searches now on Facebook. You can search for jobs. You've got Facebook Marketplace, obviously the groups. It does offer an awful lot. Messenger. So actually you can create a whole ecosystem of relationship building on social media with your potential and existing customers. One thing that is becoming significant for the 21-22 is the actual retention of customers and the use of social media for that. I always say social media starts with social, and once the business grasps on that, it can really leverage the power of the channels that they're working with. But you've got to make sure that you engage with your users. That engagement rate is not just a number, it's representation of what you do with people that approach you on social media. Are you just there to try and push your messages and, give information to people? If that's the case, yeah, you might have certain level of followers because they want to understand what's happening with your business, if it's strong enough in terms of capturing the interest. But what we're seeing through the pandemic and coming out of it is that the user-generated content itself can be the holy grail for the businesses. That's where you can repurpose some of that content, engage with the people that are already looking to talk about you, and actually help them become the ambassadors for your brand, for your business. People happy to talk about their experiences openly now, so why not encourage that and leverage that for your own social media presence and success, really? If the company grasped on that, and so many now work with people across the range of social media platforms, whether that's the customers, whether that's potential prospects, or just someone who genuinely shows interest in your brand, to some of the more prominent paid presences as well, which we will talk about in a short while. So, as well as email marketing, the important thing is to measure the impact. You cannot create the effective strategy unless you understand where you're falling short and having that really looked at. So make sure you understand what your objectives are. Make sure that you set up the strategy that will facilitate the content that will allow you to meet those objectives, and make sure you set the measures in place so the metrics that you evaluate are effective for you to actually make informative decisions going forward. So if you are looking to join the world of digital marketing, social media skills are absolutely critical. There's one thing that I can say for sure: no matter where you go, every single business will want to develop and improve their social media presence. It is absolutely critical for the majority of businesses now, and a lot of them still don't do it right. So if you can build the skill set that allows you to make that change and get it right, you will be in high demand. Absolutely. So looking back at the influencer marketing and some of the other elements of affiliate marketing, that will also stay. Affiliate marketing is obviously a very, very easy way to discount some of the things that you do without actually having to damage the brand image. It also allows you to develop new relationships. We see a lot of activities on places like Instagram, for example, where brands will approach different people on Instagram and will suggest for them to become affiliates and brand ambassadors and work with them. So the way it tends to work, you get the discount rate to actually buy from the brand, and you can then keep that difference in your sort of own marketing budget and make a little profit along the way. So definitely will work the same way. Obviously, there are some influencers that will purely work as advertisers. There are also different ambassadors packages that you can develop. Look into that. People will have variety of motives behind them. Some will want to get paid. Some might actually be happy to experience your products and services. So you're not necessarily going to end up paying an arm and a leg. Some people will be more than happy to just be part of that process because there are plenty of people out there who are starting out as influencers and are happy to develop as they go along. So definitely worthwhile keeping that in place. If you actually just want to follow more traditional affiliate marketing model, you could also use things like vouchers. So your Groupon could be very effective place to sort of build your brand and develop your lead generation presence. Things like voucher and, you know, other different varieties of discounted codes that you could give. These are also actually quite good if you are trying to target specific audience. For example, there are plenty that will work for students only. So you can really then guarantee that you are targeting the right audience. NUS discount portal, for example, for students. I think there's other things like Student Bean and whatnot. Also, there's a lot of partnerships happening with banks, for example, where they get involved in your affiliate marketing, where they can offer cash back for shopping with your potential brand. So you have a variety of different, you know, options. Don't just use influencer marketing as the only option that you have. There's plenty others to explore. Although influencer marketing might actually end up the cheapest one for you. So it also will heavily depend on the budget, if that makes sense. Going forward, there's one type of advertising that will become even more present across the online, is the native advertising. So for those that don't know what native advertising is, it's essentially the ad in disguise, as we tend to call it. So the idea is you don't buy the advertising space, you buy the content element of it. So rather than you just put in the ad, what you will do, you will provide the sponsored article, for example, or promoted article. And these are quite great for magazines, newspapers, some of the blogs, and so on and so on. So essentially, you get to engage in the form of content marketing, but you can then guarantee that the readership will be already established and it will be there. So it's definitely going forward a way to advertise without having people to go, oh, you know, rolling their eyes. It's a lot more accepted really by the audiences, because they can still see the attempt to be useful, be helpful, be present. So landscape is changing. There's no way to escape that going forward. We're really never going to go back. You know, I know there's a lot of talk about going on. It's great to go back to normal, but the normal has changed. The normal is a lot more digital. So whether you are, you know, looking at the SEO, social media, email, paid advertising, there is always going to be something new that you will be able to implement going forward. So one thing that, you know, you've got to make sure that you do is that you follow that transformation going forward. So if the business that you're entering doesn't have that, you know, full-on digital approach, yeah, you really want to start thinking about that, because if you don't now, it will definitely be too late soon. So There are a few more trends that are predicted to come out in 2022 that we're not necessarily covered yet. The use of AI, and I'm not just talking about, having to use virtual reality. Artificial intelligence is really actually, inserting itself into all of the marketing elements. I've mentioned use of tools before. You can rely on AI now for a lot of the analytical elements, for a lot of the trends and insights, for example, that can be really well predicted through the use of AI, for example. So it's not necessarily just about the experience, it's also about the trends that are coming through. We can't escape chatbots and voice assistants. Things like your Alexa and whatnot, they're becoming a normal thing for a majority of households these days. So when we are producing marketing, we've got to remember that that will be something that people will be using. Those technologies will be there to assist users. So we've got to make sure that we insert that into our marketing. Transition to mobile first marketing really has to be on its way, and it really has to be pretty much done deal, because people are probably using their phones for everything now. You have Google has announced that 98% of all searches happen on mobile. That's why they prioritize mobile first approach. The same trends coming through the social media and everything else. Get used to it. Mobile phones will be the gadget to use going forward across everywhere. I mean, just the other day I saw that there was a statistics coming out that there's more mobile phones in the developed countries that actually, toilets and the facilities, bathroom facilities. That's how powerful mobile phones are. They literally, touch every single corner of the world, from very undeveloped countries to very, very developed. And some people will have more than one gadget. Multi-channel marketing, it definitely is a must. You have to be consistent through everything that you do. So don't just think, oh, I'm going to do a bit of email marketing and that's it. Try to integrate that. Your campaigns have to trickle throughout all of the channels to showcase that presence for the user to actually pay attention. And automation, I've talked about it. We've really got to get on with the automation. It's really there to simplify our lives. Just make sure that you use the technologies that work. So don't try to cut corners. Make sure you test things beforehand, because the use of technology will probably be the best thing, but could also be a downfall if it isn't implemented correctly. So digital marketing first approach is now adopted by the majority of the companies out there. Your ability to stay up to date with that digital marketing first approach will really make it and break it for the future job hunts, for the future of your business, and future of your career progression. So you want to survive in today's environment, you've got to get online, and you've got to do it well, because the competition is fearsome. One thing we do at GBS is the Level 3 Digital Marketing Apprenticeship. So if you do want to learn how to upskill yourself in the world of digital marketing, you can do that through the apprenticeship. If you're looking to really put your knowledge into practice, if you're looking to develop some of the key skills out there that you will need to take your business forward, or if you're looking to actually start the career in digital marketing, I do encourage you to go and have a look at that apprenticeship, because it will be great for your skill set development. It will allow you to learn all the latest practices and put them into place, something that you probably wouldn't necessarily be able to do with just a knowledge course. Whatever your needs, if you do want to get in touch with us and talk about it, we are more than happy to try and support you in a way that works for you.